Hey guys, welcome back to the Righteous Warriors Ministry channel. My name is Josh, and I'm here with another video for you today. Our video today is just a preface, so it's going to be a testimony that was sent to me. Um, this individual, David, is someone that I crossed paths with during my work at the farm, and he's he's back at it again. Dave had a slip up, and but he's back at it again, and he's doing well thus far. And he'd said that he wanted to do a little something, send me a little testimony, and I told him that we would do that. And so this is going to be David's testimony. David, like I said, is back at it again, and so he's still early on, and maybe God willing, we can get a part two once he gets a little more time under his belt. But this is where he's at today, and so let's pray for Dave. Pray that he continues to seek the Lord and that he continues to stay on this path. And without any further ado, um, here we go. This is Dave's testimony.
Hello everyone, I'm David. I'm an alcoholic and an addict, and I'd like to start by saying I'm very grateful for you, Josh, and your ministry for allowing me to do this. I'm going to tell you a little bit about my testimonial, where I've been, and where I am now. Um, so, at a young age, I always went to church every Sunday religiously, and things went well. As soon as I stopped going to church, I started hanging out with the wrong people, and I put God on the back burner. And I eventually got started with the drugs and the drinking. After around the age of 12 years old, I started smoking pot, didn't think nothing of it. And I don't believe that it was my gateway drug, but I do believe that it opened up something in me. Um, I wanted more. Uh, at the age of 13, I was hanging out with the guys that go out to the sand pits, have had all the toys, all the dirt bikes, four wheelers, snowmobiles, and all that good stuff. And I got introduced to the bonfires. And one of the guys that we used to hang out with that had all the toys, he was an older man. His name was Mike. I'll never forget the man. He was a good guy, never had kids, but he always had the beer every day. He'd come home from work, 30 pack and a 12 pack every day. So when once he'd get a good buzz on, me and my buddies would start taking a couple of his beers, going out to the pits and riding and drinking beer. That's where it all started. And then as we got older, we'd start drinking more beer, and then he would start buying it for us, start buying us liquor, and we'd be always going to the sand pits every day after school. And that's what we did for a few years. I got my first job, and I was working in a restaurant. My buddy and his brother got me the job there, and I'll never forget. I was going to school. I was about 16 years old, and uh, I was working a lot of hours. I was putting in almost 40 hours a week on top of going to school. And some of the guys were like, that worked there, they were like, "Hey, you're starting to crash." I was like, "I understand." I was like, "I'm working 40 hours a week and going to school about 40 hours a week." So it was a lot. Trying to do the homework, which I stopped doing that, which I never thought anything of it. And they eventually introduced me to the uppers. Once I got introduced to the uppers, at first I was able to maintain work and school and my habit, and then it didn't take very long, and I couldn't handle my habit. I couldn't afford it. So what does any smart alcoholic and addict do? They decide, well, I got to work more hours, make more money so I can afford it. So I had my mother sign me out of school. I moved out of her house. I moved in with a roommate. My roommate was very straight edge. He didn't do anything, and but he was a good guy. He took me in for next to nothing, paid dirt cheap rent because I was living on his couch. And then once he had kids, my rent became, if I wasn't at work, I'd help around the house with the kids. So that's what I did. I was like, you know what? If I'm not paying rent, I can spend more money on my habits. So I moved. I ended up meeting another roommate through him who was also into addiction, and he was an older guy. We called him Black. He was a solid man, you know, but he never. I wouldn't. I wouldn't say that like he was the perfect person, but all his bills were always paid. If he didn't have the money for something, he didn't get it. You know, like he didn't chase it like I did, and he ended up introducing me to a thing called crack cocaine. And once I got introduced to that crack cocaine, it was all over from there. I met the drug dealers, I met the prostitutes, and I learned that if I drive the prostitutes around in my car, I could get paid. I learned if I could drive the drug dealers around in their cars, I could get paid. So I ended up dropping out of work, stopped working, and that's what I did for many years, driving them around. Didn't see nothing wrong with it. I wasn't committing no crimes. I was just a driver for many years. And then I hit the point where it wasn't enough. It wasn't enough. So when they would all go to bed for the night or for the night, there's a couple of them would shut down shop pretty early, 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock in the morning. And I didn't want to end my night, so I'd go out committing crimes, trying to make some money, doing whatever I had to do. And it ended up landing me in and out of jails, institutions, been to a few detoxes, many psych wards. And the first time I tried to get clean, um, I wasn't ready to get clean, but I was doing it for everybody else. I was doing it for the girlfriend, I was doing it for my mother, my father, the courts. So it didn't last very long. And for about every time I'd go to jail though, I'd always turn to God. I'd always read the Word of God and out of the Bibles, and things would start to turn around. I'd get out of jail, and things would always work. I'd go to church for a little while, and things would get better. My life would be better with the Lord. You know, I'd get the family back. I'd get the cars back. I'd get my old lady back, and eventually it was so bad that I would also, throughout my addiction, I would also, when I needed a break, that's what I would call it. I would call it one of my breaks. I would move down to Kentucky, and it'd be like a couple-month vacation that I worked. It'd be a vacation where I worked and saved money. So I'd go down there with my family, not really wanting to be clean, but just to make everybody feel better in my family, make them not worry. Go down there, go to church, I'd work, and I'd start getting things, and every time things were becoming too good to be true, I couldn't handle it, I'd come back, go right back to where I was, and whenever I left off, it always became worse. Like I left off and it would be tenfold. And so I would come back, continue right where I left off, but it would always be worse. I'd commit more crimes. I would spend more money. I would do the same thing over and over again. Until finally, 2021, I got a nice little jail sentence. Um, and I was praying to the Lord to guide me and to tell me what should I do in my life. What should I do? You put the options out there, and I will take them. Because at that point, I was desperate for change. I've had enough of the running. I had a kid, and he was a year and a half old, and he moved down to Tennessee with his mother, which I'm looking at it as a blessing because I don't need him. I don't need him running around up here. He moved down to a very nice neighborhood. His mother's a good person. We have our differences. Don't get me wrong, but the only thing I can't say is I can't say nothing bad about her mothering. Her mothering is fantastic. She gives him everything he needs. She gives him some of what he wants. Not enough to spoil him, but enough of his wants. And but everything he needs, he has. He's got a stable home. He goes to school. He's happy. He's always smiling. It's fantastic. So I figured, I want to be part of his life. So I got my jail sentence, and it was a two-year sentence. Did 13 months, and I heard something about a farm. I was like, I really like animals. I've never lived on a farm before. I'm always thinking about myself, and I was like, well, if I go to the farm, the animals will have to come first. And animals always show unconditional love. They show you the love that you'll never see. And so I got to the farm, and one of the first people I met was Josh. He started he started speaking, and he was talking to me about how he's where he's at because of the Lord. And I was like, every time I get where I'm going, the Lord has always helped. I could never do things on myself. So I gravitated towards him, and there was this one miniature horse that was named Consuelo. She got there about the same time as I did, and we bonded right off the bat. I mean, she's not much of a people person. You get her in crowds, she runs. But I never had an issue taking her harness off in the pasture. Like some people would have to chase her around, and I don't know. She gravitated towards me. So she showed me true unconditional love. Like she could feel my emotions, like that we're both new here, we're both iffy, and I learned from her a lot. She showed me true unconditional love. She showed me what it's like to care for somebody else, put something else before myself. Because every morning in the afternoon, we'd have to care for the animals. We'd have to clean out their stalls in the morning, make sure we feed them, make sure they were all set for the day. And then at the end of the day, we'd have to bring them inside and put them away, make sure they had everything they needed for the night, and they were all settled in. And it just showed me, like, there's another side to life. There's happiness. Who would have ever thought there was happiness? So, I started thinking, I was like, the farm, I started talking to my caseworker, and I was talking about how I want to get my religious side back, and I want to start going back to church, and they made it happen. Started taking me to this one church, and I kind of liked it there, and I don't know, with the way scheduling and rides and all that went, they had to change my church to another church. And at first I was kind of reluctant about it because I was just starting to get to know people. And then when I got to this new church, there were a few people, and there was a nice lady that was in the program that I gravitated towards. And she seeing her there, and it was welcoming. It was a very welcoming church. It was a lot more welcoming than the other one, but the first church, I liked it because I could go in, stick to myself, listen to the Lord, and leave. Nobody was bothering me. But by the time we made it to the second church, everybody was welcoming, and it got me out of my bubble, you know. While I was at the church, while I was at the farm, I'd go to 2 meetings a day, every day of the week. I'd go to the noontime meeting every day religiously. And I would go to the night meeting religiously. And things started getting good, you know. I got a job. The first job didn't pan out too well, but that's alright because I prayed to God on what to do. And he set me up with this restaurant job. I like working in restaurants. I love washing dishes. I don't really have to deal with people. I have anxiety with the people, and so I prayed to him, and he set me up with this job at a restaurant. Things were going great. I moved into a sober house. Things were going great, but once I got into the sober house, things were going good. I was almost off parole because I got paroled to the farm, and once I got to the sober house, things were going good. One of the guys I gravitated towards at the farm, he left before me, and he became my roommate. And every day we would cook together, and every morning before, I didn't work in the mornings at the first, so I would sleep in, and he'd go on his morningly day, but on my days off, we'd cook together. And then I left the job because one of my old drug dealers, come to find out, worked there. I didn't recognize him at first, and then he started talking to me, and we put 2 and 2 together. So I left the restaurant because it wasn't going to be a safe environment, and I felt like the Lord put something in me that I should leave. So I followed his will. And I got another job at a chair factory, where they made chairs, and you know, every morning me and my roommate, we'd go out for coffee. He'd buy one day, I'd buy the next day, and we'd alternate. And then for dinners, we would do the same thing every single day because we had the same work schedule, except he'd get out a half hour before me. So after work every day, we would go to either Hannaford's or we'd go to Walmart and get dinner for the day, and we'd make dinner. And things were great. Now, keep in mind at this time I had a warrant in Ohio. This is very intrusive, and I had a warrant in Ohio. It was non-expeditable out of Massachusetts. So my not thinking, the Lord didn't tell me to move down south. The Lord was trying to tell me to stay up here, stay put, don't leave. And got reluctant there for a minute, and I didn't realize I had a reservation, but I ended up having a reservation, and I moved back down to Kentucky, trying to be closer to my son, and you know, things were going great. I got a really good job. I was making really good money. I was saving a lot of money. I bought a vehicle down there, had payments on it. Was going to meetings, but not as much. Wasn't really doing commitments like I was doing up here. So what I did was I was too focused on work. I put God off to the side, you know. I was like, I'm gonna go back to church on Sundays when I'm on my feet. I should have been going when I wasn't on my feet, when I was at my low. But and I feel like because I didn't put in, I feel like now, so I got a job, getting ready to get an apartment. I got pulled over for a seatbelt because down in Kentucky they will pull you over for a seatbelt over speeding. And they picked me up. They brought me to the Christian County Jail. I sat there for 2 weeks before Ohio could come down and pick me up. went to Christian County, and then I went to Ohio, to Richland County. Um, they put me in a mental health block because I don't know anybody. I got mental health issues. And when I got to Ohio, they didn't have much on the tablets, because they do have tablets in the jails now. And the only thing I could watch on the tablet was a podcast called The Real Vida. It was videos for the prisoners. It was a religious group. They do like a quick reading, and they just give you inspiration. And they play some Christian. Every few podcasts would play the Christian music, but so I would listen to that, and I would listen to it every day. And they gave me. I ended up going to court. They gave me 3 years probation, and told me I'd have to move back to Massachusetts. And at first I was like, it's not going to be a good idea, but I'm going to do it anyway. I had a reservation, so as soon as I got back to Massachusetts, I had a relapse and I had psychosis, went to a mental hospital. I reached out to the Lord, but I really didn't. And then burnt some bridges when I got out of there. Went to another hospital, got out, went on a run, lasted 5 days before I hit my lowest of the low. I thought everybody was the police. Didn't matter who you were. If your windows were tinted, you were the cops. And I didn't have any faith. I lost all my faith on this one. So then I finally went, and I just left the hospital 5 days before that. And I was like, if I go to another hospital, they're going to send me to a different hospital. But God had another plan. He sent me back to where I was. He put me back in the same room I was in, so I could continue my journey from where I left off there. I'm now in a sober house out near the city. And Josh's ministry is definitely what pulled me closer. I'm very well grateful for Josh. I'm glad I never burnt that bridge. I asked him when first day I got here, could you say a prayer for me and give me a reading? I need a couple of readings. And the readings were exactly what I needed to hear. It's not what I wanted to hear, but it's what I needed to hear, which I could right then and there. It opened my eyes that the Lord spoke through him and said what I needed to hear. And his videos are everything I need to hear. And that's my story. And I'm working on a church out here. I'm getting back. And I got to say, if it wasn't for the Lord, I'd probably be dead. I 100% truly believe that he is keeping me alive. And he's always there. He'll always welcome you back. No matter how low you go, he will always welcome you back with open arms, never turn you away. You'll always get what you need to hear from him. It's like magic. It's like, you'll go looking to hear some sort of message, but you never get the message you want to hear. It's always what you need to hear. The Lord always says what you need to hear. Sometimes it may hurt, sometimes it may not. It can bring joy, but I'm very grateful for your page. Thank you, Josh, for allowing me to share my story. If anybody's struggling, just remember, reach out to the Lord. He will guide you. As long as you follow his will, he will guide you. Even if you're reluctant, he will still be there for you. He will always be there for you, and he will always show you a new way of life. Thank you, and have a great day. Again, my name is David. I'm an alcoholic and I'm an addict, and I'm a reborn again Christian.